folks, I'd like to personally apologize for taking too long in making this video. I mean, I had other stuff I had to do. But anyway, we are finally going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 15 months after it debuted. And please note, we will go off script completely. I mean, I don't even have production notes. Now, to be honest, I actually wanted this system to do real well, but not this well. I mean, this system was sold out for who knows how long. Which is why I was actually glad I pre-ordered it back in January. Thankfully, supply is finally outpacing demand, and it's much easier to get a Nintendo Switch now than it was a year ago. But anyway, you can't have good hardware without good software. Here are my recommendations for Nintendo Switch games. Boy, I can't believe I'm doing this without a script. I mean, I don't even have production notes. The first game that I can actually recommend is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. What I loved about The Legend of Zelda was that you can actually get yourself lost throughout the entire world. I mean, it was massive. The entire structure of the game also felt like a bit of a throwback to the first Legend of Zelda game, which was actually much more free compared to the other Zelda games between then and now. My one downside, besides the inventory system and of course the weapon system, is that it does lack the classic dungeons of A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, those kind of games. Something I actually missed. Maybe with the next Zelda game we might see them again, but for now, Breath of the Wild is actually a pretty fun game. By the way, I haven't tried the DLC yet, so if you know if they're really good or not, let me know. I might consider buying it. Boy, do I want that motorcycle or what? The next game I recommend is an obvious one, Super Mario Odyssey. The entire structure of the game brings back memories of Banjo-Kazooie on the N64, Xbox 360, and the Xbox One. But the difference between this and Banjo-Kazooie? This game is bigger! I mean, the worlds are extremely huge, and there's a ton of moons to locate. Even more so, I really love the hat mechanic of this game. I mean, it's one thing to enjoy the power-ups of classic Mario games, but possessing your enemies with your hat and just going all out? Now that's even more fun! Heck, I would love to see this mechanic return in a future Mario game. Maybe have someone else like Peach or Bowser take a use of it. Aside from the fact that Mario's the only playable character, I don't really have any negatives to say about this game. In fact, if you just got yourself a Nintendo Switch, Super Mario Odyssey is the first game you should get. Believe me, you are going to enjoy it. The third game I can recommend right now, Fire Emblem Warriors. Sure, this game's on the 3DS right now, but I would still recommend the Switch version. You know, back then, I wasn't really too fond of Fire Emblem. Two reasons was because the game was a bit too linear for my tastes, and the fact that I don't like the idea of units being killed off for good if you lose them. Fire Emblem Heroes on mobile phones actually got me a bit interested in the franchise. But it's rather ironic that Fire Emblem Warriors would actually make me really more interested in this franchise. This entire game brings back memories of Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U and the 3DS. From the playable characters to the history mode, they actually represent Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem Fates, and the first game, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. My only negative with this game is that some of the other characters like Darius as well as the villains, they're not playable. They're not even DLC. I mean, come on, I wouldn't mind playing as these characters, Nintendo. But anyway, if you still have that Dynasty Warriors-like itch, I do recommend Fire Emblem Warriors. You know, I always wonder if we'll get a Hyrule Warriors vs. Fire Emblem Warriors game. I mean, I would definitely like to play that. Now, I don't have this game on Switch yet, but I have played it on the Wii U and the 3DS. Hyrule Warriors. Mainly what it is Dynasty Warriors merged with The Legend of Zelda. You play with a number of characters like Link, Zelda, Impa, characters from Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and of course, Ganondorf. And unlike the last two versions of Hyrule Warriors, you get all of the DLC complete in one package, which is definitely what all definitive editions should be about. The entire game plus the DLC. It's like with Mario Kart 8 on the Switch as well, though they added in extra content if you ask me. I don't really have much else to say about this game except for what the videos are showing you, though there is one thing I like to point out. From what I heard, after you beat the first stage of the game, you will unlock a good number of characters, especially Ganondorf. Which reminds me, I really need to get Hyrule Warriors on the Switch. Hold on a second, let me get my wallet out. Wait, I have to talk about Sonic Mania right now? Alright, I'll put my wallet away for crying out loud. It's a new take on the classic Sonic the Hedgehog style gameplay of the Sega Genesis. You play as Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, and once again you gotta battle Dr. Eggman and his evil forces. And you don't need a Sonic and Knuckles cart just to play the entire game. You have it right at your fingertips. And to be honest, I actually like the bonus stages of Sonic Mania over the classic Get Blue Spirit style bonus stages. The reason is because it reminds me of the Sonic CD style bonus stages. But that's just a personal opinion of mine. I've played both types of these games, and personally, I find the Sonic Mania bonus stages way better. Ironically, there's gonna be a Sonic Mania Plus coming out later this year, complete with an Encore mode and 2 additional playable characters, Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo. Both are from Sega Sonic the Arcade, while Mighty came from Knuckles Chaotix. Maybe we'll get more additional characters in the future. Amy Rose, Metal Sonic, Fang the Weasel, Bean the Duck, Bark the Polar Bear, or maybe some guest characters. Nah, that last one's too ambitious. I think I can safely say this 4th game is one of my personal favorites. Doom. When I first found out that Doom was coming to the Switch, I thought to myself, wait, this can't be real, can it? I mean, this is a PlayStation 4/Xbox One/PC game coming to the Switch. But lo and behold, it happened. But then again, I have no question about it. I mean, this is one of the greatest games of all time. I mean, sure, it's not as graphically impressive as the PlayStation 4 version, and the frame rate is lower. Not to mention there are some glitches. But still, it was a technical marvel to port that game to the Nintendo Switch. And even more so, it's still fun to blast away all those demons and imps and all that kind of stuff. Where's my BFG 9000? Oh, and by the way folks, there's a recent patch for Doom that finally enables gyro controls. And if you ask me, gyro controls are almost as accurate as aiming with a mouse. I mean, seriously? Aiming with an analog stick? That is so clunky and so yesterday. Back in September during my Case for Retro video, I actually wanted to have Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Well, here we are right now, and the games are now available. Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 contains all 6 NES Mega Man games, complete with a new rewind feature in case you mess up on that jump. And personally, it's a really fun feature for those who are new to the classic Mega Man games. Highly recommended if you ask me. Meanwhile, Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 will feature Mega Man 7 on the SNES, Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation, and Mega Man 9 and 10 on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii. Now, believe it or not, these 4 games are actual ports, not emulations of the original games. And on a side note, while Mega Man 9 and 10 does have their DLC, you have to unlock it. It's not available from the get-go. One last thing, I highly recommend you download this off the eShop instead of buying the actual carts. Not only is Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 a digital-only title, but the fact you actually save around $5 when you buy both of them off the eShop. I mean, it's a decent deal nonetheless, but Capcom really needs to stop slacking off when it comes to supporting the Switch. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 7 on the Switch, aka Cloud Edition. I talked about this game during my Case for Retro video, and I still stand by Steamworld Dig 2. For those of you who played Steamworld Dig 2 is a much bigger and much more enjoyable sequel. There is a lot more emphasis on exploration in this game, making it feel more like a Metroidvania. Not to mention the story is actually much more enjoyable than the first. Not to mention the game is actually much harder than the first game. Thankfully, you will find plenty of upgrades for your character, like the grappling hook and the jetpack. These actually give you a new way to play as you search for Rusty, hero of the first game. And trust me, you're gonna have a hard time putting this game down, mainly because you're looking for every secret buried within this game. It's that expansive. And on a side note, the original Steamworld Dig and Steamworld Heist are also available on the Switch eShop, so check those out when you get the chance. I think I'm finally ready to conclude this first round of recommended games with Celeste. This is one of those retro-inspired video games that puts a lot of focus on platforming, and similar to games like Super Meat Boy, it's hard and it requires a lot of trial and error. So for those of you who enjoy these kind of games, this is for you. and for me myself, but it took a lot of trial and error for me to get through the entire game. Well, mainly just the story mode. Now, believe it or not, this game actually has an assist mode made for beginners. They have options including invincibility, infinite stamina, slowing down the game's speed, and of course skipping chapters completely. I didn't use this mode when I played the game, but for those of you who are having a hard time, I would highly recommend you check it out. Oh, and on a side note, Super Meat Boy is also available on the Nintendo Switch as well, definitely made for those who enjoy hard games. So when you're done with Celeste, be sure to check out Super Meat Boy, and don't forget to check out its sequel when it comes out later this year. Now folks, there were some games I actually wanted to cover for this video, but thanks to the passing of time, I didn't get a chance to do so. I'll cover a few more games in the future like Rocket League and Blaster Master Zero. What do you all think? You think there are some games I should consider checking out? Feel free to post in the comments below. Anyway, I'm not doing my usual only time will tell or who knows what the future will hold dialogue, but I will say this. Stay tuned for my E3 coverage of the Switch Watch and of course, Smash Watch.